Surprise, surprise, Mr. Leone. Probably don't recognize that. We've all gotten older.
I'm looking higher. Hi, hey. Like old home week.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Thank you. Say, yep, you two guys are okay.
Michael's here. Michael's
In our lives, you know that, don't you?
I hope it's a part of it.
You made a lot of them.
Plymouth troubleshooting contest.
Yeah?
It's Bill Bowie and George Cole.
You made my life.
I'm doing all this.
And he used to date your sister, remember at one time?
Doing the lessons for the world. Thank you very much for all you did. Class of 76.
And I graduated in 1970 from your class.
Hopefully.
Well, I didn't know we were neighbors. Yeah, that's right. I did not.
You went to Bob too, huh?
Yeah.
You hear me now? Okay. Well, here's one of my senior moments. I've reached that age where, see, I was interrupted, so I forgot what I was talking about. They've come up to me on this book and asked me, would I sign my book? Well, that's not my book to begin with. It's a book on Jimmy Stewart. It just so happens that he put my story in there along with some other people's stories. We were all introduced to each other, that this was a crew that we were going to be for this plane. The pilot, co-pilot, and navigator were all officers, and they just finished their schooling. And the other 6 of us were enlisted, but we were gunners. I was a radio operator in addition to the gunnery. One of the others was an engineer in addition to his gunnery. The rest were all just strict. When I was assigned there as a radio operator on this V-24, and this gave me even more, another stripe. Now I had, I think, 4 at this point. And so he was coming into land, the fire caught up again, and then one of the other engines started acting up. So I hit the bailout button, and when he hit the bailout button, the co-pilot jumped up and tried to shove me out of the way to get out. Needless to say, he wound up back in the cockpit. And so I went out at about 800 feet, and when my chute opened, I was, well, not more than 50 feet above the ground. We went on our first mission, and it was over Frankfurt, Germany. Had flak and fighters. Now flak kicked it out just as we were under him. It had a number 3 engine, knocked the engine right out of the aircraft. I looked out the radio window and all I saw was a hole in the wing where number 3 engine used to be. All of a sudden, I hear, while I'm in the top turret, fighters, 6 o'clock. So I whipped the guns around, and sure enough, 2 ME-109s coming in fast on the tail. Now, ME-109s, they had small caliber machine guns, so they had to get within about 800 yards of you to really do any real damage. And it was also true of us. We had to wait till they got within 800 yards to be effective. So, waiting for them to get into range, and I hear fighters 12 o'clock. So I swing the guns around 12 o'clock position, and there's 2 English Spitfires. Well, they engaged the 2 Messerschmitts, knocked one of them down. Last I saw the second one, he was heading back to Germany with a Spitfire on his tail. Then we had a couple uneventful missions. I say uneventful, still had flak, no fighters, but flak. And then finally we were, during Big Week, when they wanted to get the Luftwaffe out of action, getting ready for the invasion, of course. We crossed over Holland, and just as we entered Germany, we were hit by Focke-Wulf 190s. They came in 4 abreast. When they hit my plane, it killed the tail gunner outright, and also 1 waist gunner was killed outright. The other waist gunner was wounded, but he managed to get out the window and bailed out. The bulk turret gunner went down with the plane. The engineer went down with the plane. And the co-pilot jumped up again and went out opened the top hatch. I couldn't get the bomb bay doors open. None of the systems would work. Tried to drop the bombs. We saw our bombs aboard burning like crazy. I mean, we were really on fire. And so when he went out the top hatch, I always had a little theory of my own that said, pilot or co-pilot leaves, time for this boy to go. And the next thing I know, I'm at about 13,000 feet falling through the air without an airplane. So the plane exploded. The pilot went down with the plane. I landed. The group came forward. I challenged them with my .45. They stopped and started saying, Hollander, Hollander. So he took me up to the farmhouse, gave me coffee and a sandwich, and then a home guard came in German uniform and rifle and informed me that for me the war was over. And then he called me in for interrogation. He wanted to know my name, rank, and serial number, which of course is stock. And I told him, Clem Leone, Leone, the interrogator says in perfect English. That's Italian, isn't it? Yes, it is. Fighting on the wrong side, weren't you?
Hi, my name's Bob Thorne. I met Mr. Leone in 1962 first. He was my mechanical drawing teacher, and then I belonged to the class of auto shop in 1963 and 1964. He's just a great guy. There are so many people here today that remember him from 50 years ago that it's remarkable, and everybody here feels the same way. He's a one-of-a-kind guy. His military career is unbelievable. Nobody knew anything about his military career. He never talked about it. We just thought he was some little 5'4" auto shop guy that never did nothing. But you gotta understand what he did in the war, and what he did was unreal. Purple Heart winner, Legion of Honor winner. He was actually knighted by the country of France, Sir Clement Leone. He's a man that I will never forget for as long as I live, and I'm sure everybody in this room will never forget him for as long as they live.
My name's Kenny Wright. I'm in the class from 66 to 67, and we're here at Mr. Leone's little reunion here with a bunch of the auto shop classes, and it's great to see. He was so good with everybody, and what everybody liked about him, his discipline. Not too many guys got out of line with Mr. Leone, but he taught a lot of good guys went on with their careers in automotive and cars and restoring them and all kinds of stuff.
Mr. Leone, this is Bill Bowie, class of 1970. Got to say, you're the only teacher I ever really respected as much as I have. I was glad to see you again now, and you really made an impact on my life.
My name's Ken Bowie. I was a class of 74. Clem taught me everything I need to know about automotive maintenance. I did 31 years active duty with the Army, and track mechanics, diesel mechanics, and everything I know, I honor to him.
Mr. Leone, my name is Patrick Bannon, class of 74. I'd like to thank you for the course my life took, because you let me in a class after not having junior auto shop. Me and my best friend Ken Bowie would have never met if it hadn't been for you, so our lives would have been totally different. You made it a wonderful thing. I'd like to say thank you very much.
My name is Don Schwartz. I graduated in 1970 from Clem's class, and I had a great time. It was a memorable time for me.
My name is George Cole. I graduated in 70, the auto class with Clem Leone. One fine teacher. I really enjoyed myself through the school.
Hello, my name is Dan Householder. I'm a graduating class in 1964 from Woodlawn Senior High. I just want to thank Mr. Leone for saving my life, and I'll tell you why. In 1964, he got us all together in his class and said, boys, you're all A1. The Vietnam War was on. We were all going to get drafted. He suggested at that time that we all join the National Guard. I did. About a year later, we got a call to go to Vietnam. We went to the armory. We sat there for 4 or 5 hours, and we never got the call. But I do thank him.
My name is Mike Deckelman. I was a student of Clem Leone in 1964, 63. He was a fellow who guided me through my whole life. I know it's easy to say, but when you look back at what you've done and remember who started it, I have to blame it on him. He taught me about treating customers right, and he taught me one of his things he always told me is a high price is soon forgotten over a job well done as far as car repairs are concerned. And I've always tried not to give a high price, but always tried to give a proper job. And I'll never, ever, ever forget Mr. Leone when all the way to the end. He's one super guy, and I guess everybody else has said this, but it's definitely the truth. Thank you so much.
Hello, Mr. Leone. Dan Clements, class of 70. I'd just like to say that you were my favorite teacher ever in school, and hey, I'm deeply indebted to you. I truly admire you. If it weren't for you, I would never finished high school. You are my hero.
Hey, my name's Tom Thorne, class of 1977. You may remember my brother, Bob Thorne. He was a class of 64. Throughout my childhood, I was always an automobile guy. I loved playing with cars. And my brother told me about auto shop class. I couldn't wait to get into that class. I was there for 1 year, learned a lot about cars. Still to this day, I've got 3 or 4 cars I'm working on and playing with. A lot of my technical abilities depending on what you taught me. I didn't come back in my senior year because, as I told you, I decided to go to college. So I ended up working in the multifamily industry using the technical abilities that you helped me learn and the college education that you thought was a good idea for me too. So thank you for everything you did for us and our country. Thank you very much. Bye.
Skip Funk, class of 64. Mr. Leone, I want to thank you for being my mentor and instructor. Without you, I wouldn't have been the, for a better term, success that I have turned into. I got into the automobile field, and I just retired after 50 years of working for the Tate Automotive Group. Actually, it was 44 years. Again, I want to thank you, and I'm proud and privileged to be here to honor you.
Well, Mr. Leone, I think if it wasn't for Auto Shop, I would have never graduated from high school. You taught me an awful lot and had a lot of fun in Auto Shop with you. Thank you for your service.
Wayne Bright, class of 1969. Always had a lot of interest in automotive. When I moved to the Woodlawn area, I had already had 1 year of automotive classes in a city school. And Mr. Leone, I got into his class, and he just captured my imagination. He could tell you anything and you would believe it. Unfortunately, in my senior year, I got extremely ill, was hospitalized, and missed almost all of December and January. I was so far behind in all the classes that I had decided to quit school. And I stopped by and I talked to Mr. Leone, and he said give him a couple of days. And he went to all my other teachers and made arrangements that if I came back, they would guarantee me to graduate as long as I picked up from where I had left off. And he is the reason that I am where I am today. And I will never forget that man.
Dad, I hope you enjoyed your day. I know I certainly enjoyed it. I was overwhelmed with all the love these students have for you. I just thought it was great.
Grandpop, it was really nice to talk to everyone. Everyone has nothing but respect, and it's nice to see how you touch their lives, actually, in a lot of important ways. And it was really nice for you to give Laura something to do, because she loves bossing people around.